The atmosphere around Los Angeles feels different this season, almost as if the city itself has been waiting for this moment. Every time the Lakers return home after a long stretch on the road, there is this unmistakable shift in energy, and this time the excitement is even louder. The team is off to one of its strongest starts in recent memory, and the arrival of Luca Donic has completely transformed the vibe. When the trade happened back in February, a lot of people wondered whether Luca would really embrace leaving Dallas after so many years of comfort and routine. He had settled there, he had a rhythm, he had a connection with the city. But it took only a few months under the California sun for him to start looking like he has been part of Los Angeles his entire life. What makes this moment even more fascinating is how quickly the results followed. The Lakers opened the season with 12 wins in 16 games, all while barely spending time in their own arena. Over the past few weeks, they have been living out of suitcases, moving from city to city, dealing with that constant cycle of travel that drains even the most experienced teams. 6 of their last 7 matchups were away from Los Angeles, and even with that demanding schedule, they kept piling up solid performances. After the latest victory over the Utah Jazz, the team finally gets to breathe the familiar Los Angeles air again, and no one seems happier about that than Luca himself. Right after that game in Utah, he talked about how anxious he was to get back home. He mentioned the simple things like being able to step on the sand, feel the sun, hear the crowd chanting his name in the arena he now calls home. You could tell the connection is real. You could tell Los Angeles grew on him in a way even he probably did not expect. And now the timing could not be better, because the Lakers are about to begin a stretch of games at home that can define the momentum of this early season. The first challenge of this homestand is a classic matchup with the Los Angeles Clippers, a game that always brings extra electricity to the building no matter the circumstances. After that, the team gets a brief pause thanks to the holiday week. Only Para and Frentar, Logo Depoy, the franchise Luca grew up with at the professional level, the Dallas Mavericks. That reunion will be emotional for everyone involved, especially considering how the trade shifted the direction of both teams. Then the Lakers follow with games against the New Orleans Pelicans and the Phoenix Suns, 2 teams that never make it easy and always force Los Angeles to bring intensity from start to finish. But beyond the schedule itself, the biggest storyline is Luca's comfort within the organization. It did not even take a full year for him to fully embrace the city, the culture, the fans, and the identity of the franchise. You can see in the way he talks, the way he plays, the way his teammates respond to him. With several years still remaining on his contract, this feels like the beginning of a chapter the Lakers have been waiting to write for a long time. The idea of building around a player with his talent level is something every team dreams about, and Los Angeles finally feels like it has that kind of cornerstone locked in. One of the clearest examples of Luca's leadership came during the recent game against the Jazz. He played heavy minutes to push the team forward, but what really stood out was how he lifted the teammates who do not always get the spotlight. With DeAndre Ayton unable to return for the second half due to a leg issue, head coach J.J. Redick had to get creative. He moved Jackson Hayes into the starting role after the break and surprised everyone by calling Maxi Kleber into action after Kleber had barely played since coming back from injury. Kleber had spent almost the entire second half of the previous season and the playoffs recovering from a foot problem that robbed him of rhythm and explosiveness. Ever since the mega trade in February, he has been fighting to regain his timing and confidence. That night in Utah, though he looked like the version of himself people remember from his strongest years. He was moving well, reading plays, rotating defensively with precision, and making smart decisions on offense. Redick inserted him near the 7-minute mark of the third quarter when the Lakers were trailing, and everything changed from that moment on. Los Angeles regained control of the game, outscored the Jazz over the next several minutes, and built momentum that carried them to the win. After the final buzzer, Luca made sure to highlight Kleber's impact. He talked about how important it was to see him stepping up, especially given the circumstances. It was not just about the points or the individual plays. It was the presence, the force, the reliability he brought when the team desperately needed stability. Performances like that often go unnoticed in box scores, but for players inside the locker room, those moments build trust and chemistry. Redick echoed that same sentiment during his post-game comments, pointing to the defensive intensity Cleber and Gabe Vincent brought to the floor. He emphasized how crucial that physical edge became, especially considering the Lakers were not shooting well. Through the first part of the season, the team has struggled to find consistency from long range, and Redick admitted that this is something they need to improve as the year progresses. Until the shots start falling with regularity, he believes the defense has to carry them through certain stretches, and Utah was the perfect example of that mindset paying off. With the front court already thin, the uncertainty around Ayton adds an extra layer of concern. Any injury in that position can shift the rotations dramatically, forcing the staff to rely on players who were not originally expected to take on heavy roles this early. But nights like the one Cleber had remind everyone that depth is sometimes built in unexpected ways. When a player who has been quietly working behind the scenes gets a chance and delivers, it changes the dynamic of the entire roster moving forward. And once again, Luca was at the center of all of it, guiding the offense, controlling the rhythm, and pushing his teammates to rise to the occasion. His presence alone has made the Lakers look more confident, more poised, and more connected. Even in games where the offense sputters, there is this sense that he will find a way to pull the team into the fight, whether through a big shot, a clever pass, or the leadership he brings in the huddle. Being able to return to Los Angeles now, at this exact moment, feels like the perfect way to continue building momentum for what already looks like a promising season. The return home could not come a better time, because you can sense that the team is entering a phase where identity becomes just as important as results. Early season basketball is always filled with experimentation, adjustments, and unpredictable stretches, but once a team hits this point on the calendar, the true personality starts to take shape. For the Lakers, that personality has been built around resilience, physicality, and the presence of a superstar who refuses to let the energy dip for even a moment. Luca has changed the way this roster approaches the game, not only with his scoring and passing, but with the way he keeps everyone locked in possession after possession, no matter how tight the matchup gets. During the back-to-back battles with Utah, there were moments when the offense simply did not click. Shots were bouncing out, spacing felt tight, angles closed quickly, and every decision had to be made under pressure. These are the types of moments when mistakes can pile up. But instead of falling apart or drifting into frustration, the team leaned into the one thing they have been able to rely on desde o primeiro dia: defensive effort. Even when the Jazz opened the second half with a burst of energy, Redick's group tightened up. Closeouts were sharper, rotations faster, rebounds more aggressive. And the players who do not always dominate the headlines were the ones bringing that fire. One of the most interesting developments of this stretch has been the rise of different role players stepping into new responsibilities. Gabe Vincent, for example, was tasked with heavy minutes off the bench, defending tough matchups and organizing the offense when Luca rested. He brought patience, ball control, and an intensity that helped slow Utah's momentum every time they tried to push the pace. The trust Redick showed in him was clear, and that kind of trust speaks volumes this early in the season. The same applies to Jackson Hayes, who had to anchor the paint after Ayton was ruled out. Hayes brought energy around the rim, fought for positioning, and protected the basket in crucial moments. While the stat sheet might not capture every detail of his impact, the flow of the game shifted the moment he started contesting every drive with full force. That willingness to step into a larger defensive role has made him an important piece of the rotation, especially with the uncertainty surrounding the health of the frontcourt. But no storyline in this stretch shines brighter than Kleber's resurgence. Seeing him move confidently, diving into switches, challenging shots, and rolling to the basket with rhythm again is a reminder of how valuable he can be. When a player returns from an injury that kept him sidelined for so long, it is not just about recovering physically. It is about trusting the movement, trusting the footwork, trusting the timing. That trust takes months to rebuild. Against Utah, for the first time, it looked like the trust had returned, and Luca noticed it immediately. He made a point to say that having Kleber back at that level could change the trajectory of the team. Their chemistry goes back years from their time together before the trade, and you can see that familiarity on the court. Luca knew exactly where Cleber would be on certain possessions, hitting him on cuts, trusting him on defensive switches, and feeding him the ball at moments when confidence matters most. When a star lifts a teammate like that, the entire roster feels the ripple effect. Meanwhile, Reddick's voice carried that same mix of satisfaction and urgency. He praised the defensive intensity, but he did not hide the reality of the shooting struggles. Being one of the least accurate shooting teams in the league this early is not something any coach wants to deal with, especially when a roster includes players known for hitting big shots. But instead of panicking, Reddick framed it in a way that keeps the belief alive. He pointed out that the team is generating the right looks, reading defenses well, and moving the ball with purpose. If the process is right, the results will follow. And he repeated that the commitment to physicality and teamwork is what will carry them through the rough patches while the shooting naturally begins to normalize. This is one of the reasons the upcoming homestand matters so much. Playing in front of the home crowd, sleeping in their own beds, practicing without catching flights the next morning. All of this brings rhythm to a team that has been living on the road. And rhythm is exactly what their shooters need. There is something about familiar rims, familiar spacing, and a familiar arena that unlocks a team's confidence. It allows them to settle in, breathe, and rediscover the balance between patience and aggression on offense. For Luca, though, this stretch means more than comfort. It is a chance to strengthen the bond with the fan base that has already embraced him with open arms. Every time he steps onto the court at home, the energy in the building changes. The roar gets louder, the anticipation rises, and you can feel that connection between a superstar and a city starting to form in real time. It is not forced, not rushed, it is natural. And that natural chemistry is becoming the foundation of what the Lakers hope will be a long and dominant era. Another fascinating layer to this moment is how openly Luca talks about enjoying the lifestyle in Los Angeles. He does not hide the fact that the sun, the beach, and the culture have become part of his routine. Players often talk about the pressure of big markets, but with Luca, it looks like the city brings out the best version of him. That joy translates directly onto the court. When a player feels at ease in his environment, his performance elevates. You can see it in the way he attacks mismatches, in the way he communicates with teammates, even in the way he smiles after certain plays. It feels like he is savoring every second of this new chapter. And the Lakers, as an organization, are fully embracing that energy. The coaching staff is building schemes around Luca's strengths, giving him the ball in different spots, creating movement around him, and trusting his vision. The front office surrounded him with players who complement his style, mixing size, athleticism, and shooting. And the fan base has adopted him as one of their own, not just a superstar who arrived via trade, but a face of the franchise who represents the future. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, the NBA world is buzzing with whispers that could shake Los Angeles to its core. According to sources close to the situation, LeBron James, arguably the most influential player of his generation, is reportedly issuing what insiders are calling a shocking ultimatum. The rumor making rounds in locker rooms and on social media. If a certain superstar lands at the Lakers, LeBron might walk away. The basketball community is stunned. LeBron has spent nearly 2 decades cementing his legacy, and his loyalty to Los Angeles has been unwavering. Until now. The mere suggestion that he could bolt over a single signing has fueled endless speculation. Who could be the player that triggers such a drastic response? Analysts are scrambling to connect dots, citing the player's style, position, and potential clash with LeBron's established leadership on the court. Fans are divided between disbelief and excitement. Some insist it's classic LeBron maneuvering, sending a message behind closed doors to protect team chemistry or negotiate leverage. Others warn that this could mark a dramatic turning point in Lakers history, a scenario reminiscent of past NBA power struggles where superstar egos collided. Rumors suggest conversations behind the scenes have been tense, with front office executives reportedly working overtime to ensure no headlines like this become reality. Social media has exploded, with memes, speculative polls, and fan-hot takes dominating the conversation. The Lakers faithful are nervously monitoring every cryptic tweet and media snippet, while rival teams may be quietly rubbing their hands in anticipation. If this rumor proves true, it could redefine the Lakers' roster strategy and impact the balance of power in the league. Despite the uncertainty, one thing is clear. The NBA landscape is ripe for drama. LeBron issuing such a public ultimatum, if it's even partially accurate, would be one of the boldest moves of his career. The league thrives on these whispers, and whether it's a negotiating tactic or a genuine threat, fans can't look away. The story is far from over, and every insider comment, every subtle hint, now carries the weight of a potential blockbuster. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.